A nice cup of tea.
A nice roast on a Sunday.
Walking down to the pub.
These are some of the British traditions that we are missing as we live here in the United States.
But we will soon, within a few months, be able to enjoy these things once more.
So, in this video series, we are going to be discussing our favourite British traditions that we can't wait to relive again once we've settled back into the UK come this summer. We just want to add in a little point here.
Yes, caveat emptor. You may notice the continuity isn't great because we recorded this one a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? When this room was a lot more cluttered. So don't think it's not a competition. It's not a spot the difference competition.
Yes. So we had every intention of at that time of recording this first bit to go back and do our intro and our outro. However, if you've just seen our most recent video, we've been getting our house ready to go on the market. So that kind of was put on the back burner.
Yeah.
So we apologise once again, but please stay with us because we are going to talk about these British traditions that we are really looking forward to reliving again.
So our first thing, probably you're sick of seeing by now, is our desire for a good cup of tea. Now, don't get me wrong. There's an increasing number of people in the United States that consider themselves tea drinkers. But it's fruity teas and it's chamomile teas and it's all those other gubbins. It's
tea.
not just a straightforward, nice cup of tea. Black, straightforward, no messing.
With
tea,
milk,
with
possibly
milk.
sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know they mean well, but
yeah, they mean well.
What we miss as our first tradition, really, is knowing that we may be out, we may be invited over, we may be going to a cafe, whatever it is, but everywhere we go, we're always going to be welcomed
with a nice cup of tea.
With a nice cup of tea.
Yeah.
And it's more than just the fact that you're drinking a cup of tea, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It may sound silly, and we often joke about it sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
But having a good cup of tea really can just cure all ills.
Yeah. So often someone's been in an accident, they'll sit them down and they'll give them a nice cup of tea afterwards.
Yeah, this actually happened where I lived in Sutton, which is South London or Surrey, depending on who you are. We had this wall in our front garden, not very high, but a little brick wall. And a girl one day just drove straight into it. And she was absolutely beside herself, didn't do any damage to the wall, she damaged her car. My mum rushed out and we rushed out. And the first thing my mum said is, just come inside, we'll get you a cup of tea. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
We even saw it on Star Trek, didn't we?
Did we? Oh.
You don't remember Star Trek? There was an episode of Next Generation, and it was like some planet had been blown up, and they had the survivors that they managed to rescue, and they invited them in, and it was Patrick Stewart was saying, let's just have a nice cup of tea.
Oh, I don't remember.
Do you remember that? No. I laughed because I thought, that's it. That's just typical Britishness. It's like, it doesn't matter. The worst thing in the world could have happened, but you'll feel better.
Yes.
After a good cup of tea.
And what goes best with a cup of tea, but of course, a nice biscuit. Now, these are American biscuits, but they're very, very close to a nice custard cream, aren't they? These are Oreos.
They're good dunkers.
But they're not the usual Oreos. These are, what do they call them? I don't know what they call them.
After you've got the mouthful full.
Oh, sorry. Well, this type of Oreo, and it's close to a custard cream. Very good for dunking, as my learned colleague here is demonstrating now. But crumpets are good with a cup of tea.
Sorry, I just had to pause there because I was eating a biscuit. Because once you dunk it, you have to eat it. And I wasn't sure how much of the crunching was going to get picked up on the mic. So I paused there. But as Paul was saying, what goes nice with a good cup of tea, biscuits, or
cake, toast, toasted crumpet, or as you
in Ireland, a wee pancake.
A wee pancake.
A wee Scotch pancake.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
We don't mean like a slab of birthday cake, but this kind of is usually, this goes back to, and in my experience, I'm pretty sure in your experience, is that your mum or your nan would always have something baked, ready to go.
Oh, my grandma would.
With a cup of tea.
Yeah.
I remember going back and visiting my mum's mum in Belfast, and it wasn't just a cup of tea. Anytime you had a cup of tea, out came 3 different types of cakes, some biscuits, some scones with jam. It was like a whole meal. But then in Ireland, I feel like they have 1 meal a day, and it starts when they wake up and it finishes when they go to bed.
Yep.
But that's my experience. Tell us, is it similar where you come from? I know there are other cultures that their love language is food as well, isn't it?
It is indeed. Speaking of food, one thing that we do miss, I mean, we do it here ourselves, but a Sunday roast. Now, you make a fantastic roast. You make a lovely gravy. Your roast potatoes are amazing.
Thank you.
But it would be nice for you to go out and not have to do your own. So going out to a pub on a Sunday for a Sunday lunch,
or a carvery. But this
carvery.
is a little bit of a controversy in our household because Paul doesn't you don't love a carvery, do
I'm
you?
not a big fan of a carvery. It's like a buffet type thing, and I'd rather have there's your portion, dip your bread sort of thing. Yeah.
Whereas a carvery is where you can go up and you can have any and all types of meat. You can have a bit of roast beef and turkey and ham
Or roast pork,
and all of this. So
or
you can kind of
whatever.
serve yourself with whatever you want,
Chicken.
and you can go up as many times as you want as well. And it includes pudding most of the time as well. But then also, I have noticed that there are some pubs that do the giant Yorkshire pudding roast as well, don't they?
So there'll be a big Yorkshire pudding is like a batter.
Same batter as a pancake.
Same batter as a pancake, but it's baked in oil, and they'll make a big one, and they'll put the meat and the vegetables inside it, and then pour the gravy over it.
Yes.
My mouth's watering right now, thinking about all this.
And we haven't seen it in person, but we have seen it through other YouTube channels where there is now like a store in a lot of markets that do the like a foldable Yorkshire pudding where they put the meal inside the Yorkshire pudding.
We were watching somebody else's channel where they were going around Christmas markets, and one of those was it the Borough Market in London?
I think it started with the Borough Market, yeah.
But that's where they had this foldable.
Yes, I'm afraid I can't remember the name of it, but it's quite a famous stall. I think people look out for it now because it's been featured quite a bit. But I think that would be too sloppy for me. I think I prefer a sit down knife and fork jobby. But then inevitably, because the roast is usually a large meal, and in a lot of cases you have it earlier than you would have your weekday dinner. Yeah, it can be followed by a cheeky nap as well, can't it?
I think every meal I have is then bookended with a cheeky nap. Whether like as long as I'm not driving home, that would be a bit unfortunate. But it's food.
It's food.
Food coma.
So carrying on with that, as we said, that sometimes it's nice to go out and have a roast. You might pop to your local pub to have one.
Yes. Yeah, that was a frequent thing that I would do.
So we have mentioned in previous videos about pubs, but I think it is a massive British tradition that we do miss because a bar is not quite the same atmosphere.
Yeah. I would say pubs in the UK and Ireland serve a similar purpose. It's a kind of anchor for the local community, and pubs come in all shapes and sizes and different purposes and different. But a really good one serves everybody around it, and it has more than just going in there and getting fallen down drunk.
Even being drunk is not really the main purpose, I don't think. The things that we miss, though, that kind of go hand in hand with the thoughts of the pub are people saying, "Oh, I'm just nipping to the pub. I'm just going to have one."
Yeah, which turns out to be 5, and they're shoveled back into a taxi later that night.
It's always a place to meet up with your friends. It's just the obvious place to meet up with your mates.
Yeah.
You used to have a standing...
every Thursday night for 20 years before we came here, I think. Yeah.
you would go and meet your mates at a pub.
Yes, yes.
Another staple seems to be the sharing of a packet of crisps.
Oh yeah, if you buy a packet of crisps or chips, as they would call them here,
Mm-hmm.
you open the bag completely and leave it open on the table. You don't just scuff it yourself. You open it up so everybody else can have it.
Yeah, and if there's usually a group of you get 2 or 3 different flavors to share out, don't you? Yeah. I mean, there's a person who might prefer the pork scratchings. Prefer the pork scratchings.
Prefer the pork scratching.
Not my cup of tea, but there we go.
Once upon a time, I would have dabbled with pork scratchings, but I don't think so
No.
now. No.
And then a lot of pubs now hold a quiz. Now, a pub quiz again is kind of a
Tradition.
tradition
Yeah.
because you get together with your team,
Yeah.
and you just partake in the quiz, and you're always saying it's just a bit of fun. We're just doing it for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But then you take it a bit too seriously.
Well, I do know that we got booed and things thrown at us because we were winning week after week in the same pub. But we've been there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and after a while, you start to recognise the same questions over and over again. So it became quite easy. We got so blasé that we would leave before receiving the prize, which is very insufferable. I wouldn't do it now, obviously.
No. But I remember while I was working at Procter & Gamble, we started up a quiz team. And it was not, we didn't mean this, but we went to a pub and they didn't just have the pub quiz. They had this thing at the end called the snowball, which is one big difficult question. And if it wasn't answered and that money wasn't won, it just snowballed over into the week. So it could actually amount to quite a bit of money. And so this was our first time in this pub, first time as a team. We won the quiz and we won the snowball. So like you, we were not we didn't go back there for a while because we got some really dirty looks. Even though we did offer to buy people drinks, because I think we came out with like nearly £200.
Oh right.
It was a pretty decent. It was a decent amount of money. It had been going on a while. That snowball.
We'd win a gallon of beer, but we wouldn't win.
No, we won.
Money.
We won Reddies. We won money.
Talking of traditions, think of exotic Brazil with its Mardi Gras. Think of New Orleans with its Mardi Gras. Fantastic.
Notting Hill have a Mardi Gras.
Yes, with the people dancing in the streets and enjoying themselves. What do we have in Great Britain?
Pancake Day.
Pancake Tuesday. So Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday.
Or religious people call it Shrove Tuesday.
Or Shrove Tuesday. It's the time when you're supposed to use up all the fat in your house before Lent begins, leading up to Easter. And traditionally in the UK and Commonwealth countries, I suppose, Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day, it's the one time of the year that the Jif lemon juice company really makes its profits because it's probably the only time it gets used in bulk.
But it seems to have evolved into not just everybody having pancakes on that day, and we're talking about the thin,
crepey.
Yes, more like
pancakes,
crepe rather than
not like the American breakfast.
Yeah,
pancake,
these aren't like buttermilk ones. Yeah, it's turned into sort of a competition of can you actually flip a pancake all the way over, flipping up in the air, isn't it?
Well, there's always been a bit of that to it, I think.
I know, but it's like a competition now, isn't it? There seems to be a pancake flipping competitions, like
that's been around a long time.
I know, I'm just saying it's a British tradition. It's a thing. That not only are you eating the pancakes, but it's now a competition to flip as many pancakes as possible.
All right.
It doesn't mean that you have to then give up fat and sugar after that. That's up to your own choice. That's your choice. Just everybody partakes in the pancake bit. They don't necessarily partake in the Lent bit.
Funnily enough, I can never remember anyone ever when I was a kid giving up the stuff that you'd put into a pancake, like the sugar or the lemon or the flour, giving that up for Lent.
No.
They give up crisps or chocolates or sweeties of some kind. They wouldn't give
Again, this is coming from our Catholic upbringing.
Yeah.
Not everybody experiences this.
Yeah. Well, that's the first in this series of these traditions we're looking forward to indulging in when we get back to the UK.
Yes, we have plenty more. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button to make sure you carry on listening to our series. Please also put in your comments if you recognize what we've been talking about so far. or if there are things that you, as maybe expats living in other countries, miss as well. Maybe there are some of these things that you miss that if you put in the comments, we may not actually have on our list, and we can add it to our list.
Yep.
So for now, we're going to go and enjoy those cups of tea. But we will be back with you shortly, so stay tuned.
Take care and bye for now.